All right, so this is Club Summit Training. Hi, I'm Chloe. I am the club's manager. I will introduce the rest of the team shortly. But first, I just wanted to congratulate you all on becoming the incoming executives for next academic year. My team and I are very much looking forward to working with you. Okay, so first an agenda. I'll do the land acknowledgement. I'll introduce our team. I'm going to talk about the BOOSU website and the two very important policies that we have, which is Policy 500 and 501. We also have a club resource guide I'll be discussing today. I'll discuss all the awesome club perks that are available to you folks. I'll discuss your Experience BU page. I'll briefly go into CIRMA. There was a CIRMA and Experience BU session yesterday that I'm sure you or your other club execs attended. It was also recorded, so the recording will be available in a couple of weeks, but I'll briefly touch on CIRMA. We'll have dinner. It's make your own subs, because we love subs and clubs. And then we're going to have some round tables. There's going to be a couple more full-time staff from BOOSU that are coming in. We have a bunch of series of questions or prompts. You can sit with each table. We'll be going around every half an hour to switch tables, so there'll be one on events. Our events manager will be here. Our director of marketing will be here. You can discuss marketing. I'll be there to kind of discuss, conflict management. Jamie will be discussing funding, and Serena, our club's coordinator, is going to be discussing all the various different forms and everything like that. We're trying to make it a lot more interactive because I get bored standing up here talking, so I can't imagine how you folks must feel. And then at the very end, we're going to do a quiz. And the top 3 winners are each going to win a $150 grocery gift card each. So we love that. All right. I also want to note, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please just raise your hand and ask. I am going to say the question back to you because the session is being recorded, so folks who aren't here have a chance to view this material. You are not in it, just myself and Jamie. All right, so the land acknowledgement. The Brock University Students' Union is situated on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples. The territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Okay, so our team. Hi, I'm the club's manager. Like I said, I am Chloe. As much as I love that you all think I'm a student, I am not. I did graduate Brock in 2019 from the Goodman School of Business with a business degree. I worked corporate marketing for 4 years and realized corporate was not for me, and I wanted to come back to post-secondary in some capacity, so I obviously took this job, and I absolutely love it. And I've been in the role for about just over 3 years now. Next, we have our club's administrator, Jamie. He's there in the Burgundy. He has been on our team for about 2 years now. He's also a full-time staff. So we're kind of the 2 full-time staff for the club's department. We also have a part-time student staff, Serena, who's right there. She'll also be back with us next year, and we're very excited. She also does all of your poster printing, kind of your first point of contact. She's great. Then we also have our BOOSU student president, who's currently not here as she's in a different meeting, Fiona, but their email is president@brockboosu.ca. I also want to note my club's MGR email is just one email that you can reach me at. I have a couple. I also have a c.hagemans@brockboosu.ca that comes straight to me. I also have my old maiden name one. For folks that were here last year or the year before, I talked a lot about it. I got married last year and have legally changed my last name, but sometimes when you look me up in the system, it comes up as Chloe Villers. No stress, that's still me. It's just the system still shows my C. Villers@brockboosu. So all of those emails, you can contact me through all those. Okay, so the BOOSU website, which is completely different from Experience BU. So the BOOSU website is your first stop to learn about all things clubs. The website contains information on the club directory, so folks can come to the club directory and look up either your club specifically, or it can look up based on the type of club you are. So if you're an arts club, a cultural club, they can kind of sort that and look for a club that gauges their interest. We also have a club toolbox. As incoming executives for next year, this is going to be your best friend. It has documents, templates, forms, policies, etc. Anything you need to know that Jamie, Serena, and I are going to tell you, I guarantee it is most likely on the club toolbox. So I highly recommend you check that first before you email Jamie, Serena, or I. My favorite perk is just Control F and look what you're looking for. You're most likely going to find it. The club toolbox also has all the various information about accessing club perks that I'm going to be discussing later on. So again, make sure to look at that club toolbox. And there's also information about starting a new club. For those of you that are executive of a club but want to start a new club, I commend you for that. There's step-by-step process on how to start a club. Next, okay, so this is the Busuu website. So every club has their own club page. So essentially when the club ratifies or re-ratifies, our marketing team puts your club page on our Busuu website. We put your logo, your club name, the contact us section. So if you have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff, that's where we'll put all the links. So folks who are interested, let's say in the Henna Club, they can click on that icon and they'll be directed right to your Instagram. We also have it connected to your club email, so they can just click that and contact you that way. We also put like your biography, so you as a club, it can change every year if you want it to, but just kind of gives a short blurb of what your club's about, what you do, and all that. And one of the biggest points is you see that join button. It's obviously free to join a club. You can join many different clubs. The way our website is built, come May 1st, everyone who is a part of the club page is removed. Our system can't handle that many students in volume with all that information. So the names get removed, so come September, folks are going to have to join the club again. The reason you want to join is so when it's club election time, you can nominate yourself for an exec role, you can vote, all that stuff. There's also a lot more features on the club page that Jamie and I are going to be looking into this summer to see if, things like tickets and all that stuff, seeing if we can make it a lot more user-friendly so folks can stop using Eventbrite and all those other platforms. It can just be done through the Busuu website club page. Next, like I said, so the Busuu website, specifically the club toolbox, contains many forms and resources that are exclusive to club leaders. So obviously being a Busuu ratified club, you have a lot of different perks available to you. Some form examples are you can open and renew a Scotiabank account form. Jamie's going to go into this when he discusses funding, but all clubs are required to open up a Scotiabank account to house all of your revenue and your club funding. Funding is also broken up into two forms. We have a club activity funding form and a special event funding form. Jamie will also be discussing that in a little bit. And there's also something called the resource inventory rental request form. So if you're a club and you want to rent a tablecloth or a cash box or a banner stand, you just submit that form, Serena processes it, and then you can rent a lot of various different items. We will be adding to it this summer. Right now there's a survey out for all executives and current executives to complete, and we just ask for your feedback, whether that's good, bad, or anything in between. And we've noticed a lot of folks asking for art supplies. So that's probably something we'll be adding this summer, so it's available to folks in September. Always breaks my heart every single year when clubs come to us being like, I had no idea I could rent a banner stand. I had no idea I could rent a cash box. Like, it's all there for you folks to use, so it's a good form to look at. But these are just a couple of several forms that we have. So it's definitely good to look at the club toolbox and see what's available to you. Okay, so Policy 500. Policy 500 is essentially your rule book on all things clubs. All clubs must review and be familiar with the policies outlined in this document. So, ratification starts March 9th and it goes till March 29th. When a club applies to re-ratify or ratify, there's a little checkbox that says, I acknowledge I have read Policy 500. Myself and my team are assuming you've read it. So what doesn't work is when something in this policy is breached, I email you about it and I get, oh, I didn't know. And my favorite line in my job to say is, ignorance is not a defense. I'm assuming you have read it. Do I understand it's pretty dry? Yes, but what you could do is you could use a wonderful AI tool, copy and paste it saying, can you summarize this for me? It'll do that. So definitely make sure you reference this because Jamie, Serena, and I are bound to it. So please, please, please make sure you read it. I am going to point out, though, that when you ratify the club between March 9th and 29th, that's going to be the policy for this year. Jamie and I update this policy in the summer with things that we've noticed throughout the academic year or just any changes. We update it over the summer. However, during fall president's meeting, I do let folks know, hey, these are the updates to the policy, so everyone's aware. Sound good? Perfect. We also have Policy 501, which is a relatively new policy, and it has everything to do with clubs funding. We found clubs funding was getting to be several pages in Policy 500, so we made a brand new one called Policy 501. This outlines the process and rules surrounding club funding. Again, I assume you have read this because when you submit that re-ratification or ratification form, it says, I have acknowledged I've read Policy 501, so we're assuming you've read it. It's always frustrating when we get an email from a club saying, hey, so I'm out $500 because I spent this money assuming we'd get approval for funding for it, and we didn't, so now what do I do? Can I have that money? Clearly in the policy it states you have to wait till you get club funding approval before you begin spending money. Also in there, we ask that you keep all receipts, invoices, like anything like that. So when you have to reconcile, which Jamie will go over in a little bit, everything is there. So again, please make sure you read it. Okay, so the club's resource guide, it used to be called the club's handbook. Jamie and I gave it a complete makeover last summer, and we made it into a resource guide. So this guide is designed to support club executives through each step, and that's from getting ratified to securing funding, planning events, and ensuring smooth transition for future executives. One of the really great feedbacks we've received so far in our year-end executive survey, this is only 6 pages, and we have a lot of folks saying, oh, it's great, I just referenced it, answered my questions, or helped me plan an event, or helped me figure out what to do with funding. It's all in there. You're welcome to email Jamie and I, but I guarantee you'll get your answer quicker if you look at the resource guide or you look at the club toolbox. Again, it's only 6 pages, so super quick, super short, and has everything you need to know. So definitely another really good guide to review. Okay, so like I said, there's lots of different club perks available to student clubs to kind of elevate your club experience. It's not mandatory that you use all these things, but obviously it's highly encouraged because it helps elevate your club. Some tips for using club perks. Check the Busuu website, because again, Jamie and I make a lot of changes over the summer, so a lot of times we have more perks for you. So for example, last year, a lot of folks asked us for a chocolate fountain, or a fondue maker, or a s'mores maker. We got that in the summer, so now folks can rent it out for their events. Stuff like that. Again, I'll update all you folks in September for fall president's meeting, but obviously I want to be mindful of time, so sometimes I just kind of gloss over a couple of things. So it's best to check the forms, or you can reach out to Serena at clubs@brockbusuu.ca for any clarification, and she's more than happy to help. Okay, so one of the big things that folks get is print and design. So as a club, you're entitled to 250 free poster prints a year, and that can be 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17. And posters can be used to advertise your club or promote an event. So obviously when you walk around campus, you'll see a lot of posters. We don't think that cost should be on you folks, so we give you 250 free posters to print a year. Just keep in mind, all printed posters must be approved by the campus promotions team before posting on the bulletin boards. So make sure to visit the BUSU website to see a list of bulletin boards and campus promotional rules. Always breaks my heart when I see folks have a beautiful poster and then I get an angry email from the campus promotions team saying, hey Chloe, the book club didn't get this poster printed or stamped, we had to take it down. So just make sure you get it all stamped and you get the approval to do so. So there's 2 different forms that you can complete. Obviously the poster printing form to let Serena know, hey Serena, I would like this poster printed in 11 by 17 in color, and I'd like 5 pages. But there's also the poster design request form, because obviously understanding school comes first, and you folks are very busy. Jamie, who's very, very good at design, can design you a poster. He's designed several posters for several clubs, and he's really great at it, and he enjoys doing it. So if you don't have the capacity to do it, or there's no one on your team to do it, submit a poster design request form, and he can make you a poster.
I love that. I love nothing more.
There's also banners. So each club is entitled to 1 printed banner as part of their ratification. Banners are great to use at events and tabling promotions, especially community fair in the first week of September when we have all the clubs table. You can purchase a replacement banner, but obviously that's for a fee. If you want my opinion, I always suggest clubs shoot their shot and ask for it in their funding requests. If you want an extra banner, ask for it in your funding. The worst they can say is no. And I also want to make clear what 1 printed banner as part of their ratification means. So if you're a club that was ratified in 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026, you're only entitled to 1 banner per that length of ratification. But if you're a club that last time you were ratified was 2021 and you're now making a strong comeback in 2026, you had that big long break, you're entitled to a banner. So if you want a banner printed, we print those for you. So you'll just submit a banner printing request form. We send that to printing services here on campus, and we print you a beautiful banner, whether that's landscape or portrait. Just keep in mind, we only have banner stands for banners that are portrait. We're currently trying to figure out if we can find something for landscape, so just keep that in mind. And if you also don't have the capacity to design a banner, Jamie will also do that for you, and also has done that for several clubs and does a beautiful job. Yeah. Okay, so room bookings. So if you want to book certain rooms on campus, whether that's Residence 8, Clubhouse, or specialty spaces, those have completely separate forms. So Residence 8 and the Clubhouse is technically considered a BUSU space. So we at BUSU, so Serena, Jamie, and I, those get booked for you on your behalf. Specialty spaces like Pond Inlet, which we're currently in, you submit a request to Serena, and then she submits the request for you on your club's behalf. We just do that so there's not so many requests coming into room bookings. So just keep in mind that Residence 8, Clubhouse, and Pond Inlet have a different booking form, but you'll see them on the BUSU website under the forms. Something else to note, come May 1st, whoever your president and vice president are, I load them into the campus portal. So you folks can book lecture rooms, seminar rooms, tables, kind of things that are meant for more weekly meetings or events. You can book those on your own. But just keep in mind, I only upload the president and vice president, and I only have access to upload 2 people per club. So if you're a club that's like, hey Chloe, we have an events coordinator, so our vice president doesn't need to have access, please just send me an email and I'll swap them out. Again, the system can only handle so many people, so it can only handle 2 per club. So I automatically, like I said, come May 1st, upload the president and vice president, but come September, like I said, if you're like, hey, we have 2 events coordinators, or we have a marketing and another events coordinator and we want them instead, just send me an email and I swap it out. I also, upon the club re-ratifying or ratifying, I also send you instructions on how to book these rooms. I don't just let you figure it out. I send step-by-step instructions on how to book rooms and tables on campus. Sound good? Perfect. Okay, so food on campus. I apologize, folks. I know this is clear as mud, and I've truly fought for the last 3 years to get this clearer, and this is kind of the best we can do currently. So for folks that don't know, Brock and Busuu are 2 completely separate entities. So currently Brock Dining Services, i.e. Aramark, that's the food provider, has exclusivity for catering in Brock spaces. So pond inlet, lecture rooms, seminar rooms, tabling, that sort of thing. So because Aramark wants you folks to go and order food from them. But obviously we understand, for cultural reasons, some clubs want to order food from an off-campus caterer. Just keep in mind that any catering over $250, if you want to bring that onto campus, it has to be approved by Aramark/Dining Services first. So when you submit a CIRMA form and you say, yes, I'm bringing food, and you flag that it's coming from an off-campus vendor, you will most likely get a comment from me saying, hey, is the food over or under $250? If it's over, you just contact, like I said, Dining Services/Aramark, and there's their email for written permission. They're going to give you something called a hold harmless agreement, which is what you complete, just saying that you as a club are taking on the responsibility of that food. Because obviously Aramark doesn't want there to be food poisoning and for them to get blamed when they didn't know food was coming onto campus. Just keep that in mind. If it's under $250, all you have to do is send Jamie or I a kitchen license at least 5 business days prior to your event. We make sure that's a valid kitchen license and they've been public health inspected, and we say, yeah, you're good to go. So that is the best we can currently do with Brock spaces. Again, Busuu managed spaces, so the Clubhouse and Residence 8 Atrium don't have this $250 rule. We just ask that you give us a kitchen license that we review and then give you permission. Any questions? No? Okay, a couple other club perks. You as a club are entitled to a locker. So you're allowed 1 locker free of charge to house all of your club items on campus. All club lockers are located in Welsh Hall, and all you have to do is just go to the Busuu front desk and visit one of the part-time staff at the desk, and you can sign up for a free locker. So I know there's quite a few crafting clubs, so instead of them hauling around pencil crayons and everything like that, they can just put it in a locker. Brock TV, who's currently also recording this session and is great, clubs can create 1 free promo video with the help of Brock TV. So whether you want them to come and do a certain event, highlight a certain event that you're doing, or you just want them to come and create a generic, hey, we're the Concurrent Education Students Association, come join us, like a basic video just promoting your club, you can do that also. This is hyperlinked, so when I send out this presentation later on, you'll have access to this hyperlink, but it is also on the Busuu website as well. Quite a few clubs are taking advantage of this, which is nice because it really only highlights your club. You can use it for social media, all those things, and get more traction with your club. Any questions so far? No? Perfect.
That was my part.
All right, so now Jamie's going to come up and present on funding.
This is the exciting part. Everyone loves getting money from Busuu because why not? But this is also a really big important step that we have to be mindful of. All student leaders, you guys, are responsible for the student fees that you guys will be receiving in clubs funding. So just keep in mind of all the information I'll be going through. If you have any questions, raise your hand and I'll be happy to go over them. So as Chloe mentioned, every single Busuu club must have a Scotiabank account to manage all club finances. Every single club's transaction must be processed and conducted through that account. We don't encourage e-transfers from the account to and from the club's account. We encourage every single club's purchase to be made with the debit card that you'll be issued. Each bank account would require 2 executives as signing officers. One of those signing officers will be issued a debit card. And that one debit card holder would be the card holder for the club, and that one person should be handling all of the payments for that one club instead of sending money to and from that club. To finalize this process, both signing officers need to attend an in-person appointment at the Scotiabank on campus to sign for the account as well as to pick up the debit card. Even if you submitted the form and we've sent your information to Scotiabank, but if your signing officers don't attend this in-person appointment, your Scotiabank account would not be considered renewed or opened. So make sure you do this step before you reached out for funding or if you're planning on having any event related to club finance like fundraisers. So with clubs funding, as Chloe mentioned, there are 2 types of clubs funding. The main difference is that the special events is only for one-time event, and the club's activity funding is for any regular event that you would usually have. For club activity funding, each club can request for this type of funding once per academic year or once per semester. So you can either choose to submit for your entire year's funding plan in the beginning of the year, or you can choose to split it up. It's encouraged to submit it for the entire academic year in the time in case that fundings do run out. But with our new funding system where we split it into these 2 funding models, it's less likely to run out. So it would not be a bad idea if your club is a little bit newer to split your funding request into 2 separate semesters, just so you know the logistics of the first semester, you have some idea of how to proceed for the next semester before you submit for a more accurate funding request. To better serve the demographic that you're looking to serve. For special event funding, as I mentioned, it's for a one-time event that falls outside of the club's programming. So this would be either a year-end dinner that you want to host for your club or a cultural significant celebration that you would like to host. This funding pool is only available during designated funding periods. Outside of those designated funding periods, it will not be accepting any funding requests. So keep in mind of when those dates open. And once all the requests within each funding period are collected, it will be reviewed and approved by the CAC all together. The CAC is the club's advisory committee. It's made up of a group of students that's non-club executives, and they will be around 10 students, and they will be deciding any club conflicts or big funding approvals, like for special events. The main thing to note for special event is that it cannot be reallocated, unlike activity. So once you submitted a special event request, what you submitted, that event is what you're going to host. If you don't host that event that you submitted, the money that was approved for that event will need to be returned back to Busuu. So keep in mind, for special events, the approval would usually be higher and bigger than club's activity. So we require a well-planned event and a proposal for this type of funding to be approved. Does anyone have any questions between this type of funding before I proceed to the next slide? All right. So to request for club's funding, you would need to complete the appropriate form on the Busuu website. Within each form, you would have to submit information like the name of the event, how many Brock undergrad students will be benefiting from the event, the details of the event, as well as the expenses for every single item within that event that you will need, and the quote for those expenses so we know where you're planning on getting those items from. If you have any questions, you can always book me into email when you're submitting for a funding request, because it could get complicated depending on the type of activity you have, or if you have questions whether you're not unsure which funding pool you want to submit a certain event for, you can always ask us beforehand before you submit for your funding approval or before you submit for a funding request, so we can help you best organize your request to maximize the funding amount that you would be able to receive. I know clubs loves to collaborate with other student clubs or Brock department, but please keep in mind for any partnered events, you're not allowed to e-transfer or transfer clubs fund from a club's account to another club's account, even though if it's a joint event. Each club who are partnering for that joint event, we need to separately request funding for each of the amount or expenses that they're looking to get covered, and then they would have to cover for each of those expenses separately instead of for example, one club's e-transferring $50 to another club so they can make all the purchase together. That is against policy. Every single club needs to be responsible for their own finances. And once you submit for a request, whatever you submit, it does not necessarily mean everything will be approved. So please keep in mind and read the approval email that you will receive from me after you submit for a funding request. Within that funding approval email, it would include a breakdown of what is approved and what is not approved. After dinner, we'll have a roundtable, which I include some scenarios. If you're the treasurer of the club, feel free to stop by my table and we can talk a little bit more about how this would work. So if for an item that you submitted for funding request but it was not approved, that does not necessarily mean that you are not allowed to cover it with any money that's within the club's account. It just means that you would need to email me for approval first if you need to reallocate any money that was previously approved for a club's activity. As mentioned before, special events cannot be reallocated, so the event that you're submitting will be the event that you're having, and any extra funds cannot be reallocated at all. I know I'm repeating myself a lot for the not reallocating, but that is the main issues that we run into this year, where clubs would try to ask for reallocation and they would be disappointed when they're unable to host the event after they've kind of done all the math and they come to us with a proposal to find out that special events cannot be reallocated. So after you spend the club's funding, after you create a club's account, the monthly reconciliation process will be mandatory. To complete the process, each month you need to submit a monthly reconciliation form on the Busuu website detailing every single expense that occurred within the month, as well as uploading all of the supporting documents to your club's Google Drive receipt folder. The Google Drive reconciliation folder will be sent to each of the club leader in the beginning of the academic year by our club's coordinator, Serena. And if you're ever unable to access that folder, please email us. We want you to have access. We want you to be able to upload those documents. And for all the supporting documents that's required are the receipts that occurred from every single transaction of the month, as well as the banking statement. So we can reference the submission that you submitted for the reconciliation form, so we know that the information you submitted are accurate and correct. And failure to complete this process will result in club suspension until all of the requirements are complete. So to prevent any delay of club operation, which no one wants, please make sure this process is completed accurately and on time. Typically, the due date for reconciliation process is the first Friday of the following month. So for example, for reconciliation of February will be due this Friday. So keep in mind, this process is required once you've picked up the debit card and from the month of September to the month of April. So every single month that your club is active, this process will be required instead of submitting once a semester. Does anyone have any questions regarding finance? All right.
I also wanted to mention that Jamie and I do work full time in the summer, so obviously this is a lot of information to digest. I understand you folks have, midterms and big papers and finals coming up. So if you don't have the capacity to download all of this today, totally fine. You're welcome to book Jamie and I into a meeting over the summer or send us an email and we can connect and figure out how best to support you going forward. So one thing I wanted to mention is your Club Experience BU page. So your Experience BU page is a platform to connect with other student clubs, events, and workshops. So you can see here the Brock Lego Club has all of their information and all of the events that were approved through CIRMA, which are just there at the bottom. Folks can see what events they have coming up. One of the most important things on Experience BU through this club page that you do is called risk management, which is a short form for CIRMA. So I understand Carolyn went through this yesterday, but for folks that were not there or just want a bit of a refresher, all clubs must risk manage, so CIRMA, their meetings and events through the club's Experience BU page. We have a step-by-step breakdown on the BUSU website on how to do it. We just ask that you submit all CIRMA requests 10 to 21 business days prior to that meeting or event occurring. So essentially, let's say you're a club and you want to have a meeting, but you want to promote that meeting 5 days before you want to have it. You want to make sure then that you submit your CIRMA 10 to 21 days prior to when you want to start advertising it. I also want to keep in mind that it is business day. I love my job and I love what I do, but I don't work on weekends. So business days Monday to Friday, and I typically work 8 to 4. I sometimes flex my hours like I am right now because I have things going on in the evening, but I look at CIRMA pretty much twice a day. And to just kind of keep this in mind, in January alone, myself and the other Brock full-time staff who reviews it, we reviewed just BUSU clubs alone, 625 submissions for January. It's a lot. We got 164 clubs. There's only one of me and one other full-time staff along with someone else who does review it at certain times. And I understand that's a bit of a bottleneck, but that's the way it goes currently. So just keep in mind that it's not like I'm not looking at it because I don't care. It's just there's sheer volume. Also keep in mind that certain times of the year, so September, let's say, and January, there's a lot more volume than there is in December and April. So again, just keep that in mind. So don't assume like, oh, in December, I submitted this and Chloe and then Lauren, who's the other person at Brock, approved it in like 2 days. I got it, no problem. And then come January, you do that, it's not gonna work because we got a lot of submissions. So please just keep that in mind. If you're wondering why the heck you have to CIRMA and risk manage, essentially, it's just so that we know that you as a club and the folks that are attending are being as safe as possible and that all considerations have been given. I find a lot of students like to tell me, oh, I didn't even realize that, going off campus in a bus posed any risk. I understand to some of you, you're like, it is what it is. I take the bus all the time, but obviously it's something we have to take into consideration. So just know that it is your responsibility as a student organization to do it. If you don't do it, and I see it on social media, unfortunately it classifies as a Class A offense and I have to de-ratify the club. Don't like doing it. I've only done it a couple of times in my role. It's never fun. So please just make sure you CIRMA, like that's meetings, events, anything as an official club gathering, you have to CIRMA it. And please don't start advertising it until it's approved. That's another time you'll get an email from me saying, hey, can you please take this down? Hasn't been approved. You're welcome to do, if let's say the Concurrent Education Students Association would like to have a gala sometime at the end of March. They obviously have submitted for CIRMA. If they wanted to post like a, hey, save the date for March 21st, something important's coming, that's fine. But it's not like they can go on their Instagram page saying, okay, so tickets are $43 and you can e-transfer here and everyone's gonna show up at Pond Inlet in their cute fits and there's gonna be this food served. Like, not gonna work. They can't start fully advertising it until it's been approved. Sound good? Perfect. Like I said, it's your responsibility to do as a student club. So make sure you complete that form. It's just on Experience BU on your club page. I find sometimes I get some emails saying, hey Chloe, where's the form? It's just on the Experience BU page. So whoever is the primary contact of your club page currently, highly recommend you tell them come April or whenever your club activities wrap up to put you in that primary contact position. because then that allows you to take over the CIRMA process. If you don't do that in time, no stress. Just send me an email, let me know who your primary contact is, and then I just update them for you. If you're not listed as the primary contact, you're not going to see that option where it says submit event, and you're not going to be able to CIRMA. So just keep that in mind. So I get a lot of questions. What happens if I don't get an event approved? I can maybe think in my 3 years that I've been in this role, 5 different events or meetings that haven't been approved. A lot of times it is approved, but just keep in mind on CIRMA, when Lauren and I are looking at the form, we can only approve or deny. So when we deny something, it's not like we're denying your event from happening. I understand that's harsh language. A lot of times we just leave a comment saying, hey, you know, your date and time don't match the room booking confirmation. Can you please revise and resubmit? Or, hey, you mentioned you're selling a ticket, but I don't see that listed in the description. Please revise and resubmit. A lot of times I've never really denied an event. The only time I really have done it is when a club submits it in the morning and they want to have an event that evening. Not going to work. So again, just keep in mind that all meetings and events have to be CIRMA and risk managed. If that event or meeting goes forward and it hasn't been CIRMA'd, folks, it's automatically a Class A offense and I have to de-ratify the club per policy. It's not like oh, 3 strikes, you're out. No, not gonna work. We need to make sure that student safety, faculty, staff, everything like that is taken into consideration. So please don't do it. Once you do get approval though for your event or your meeting, you can begin promoting it through social media, as well as through the posters. And if you have any questions, please just email me or the CIRMA team or all of us, and we'll help you out. So, like I said, I completely understand that this is a lot of information overload, and we don't expect you to remember everything, especially at this point in the semester. I know it's extremely busy. So just know that the BOOSTU website, that club toolbox, has everything mentioned in the training tonight, the training tomorrow, the training yesterday, that you'll need to know. So when in doubt, visit the BOOSTU website. Like I said, you're also welcome to email or book Jamie and I into a meeting, and we're more than happy to help. It's just we're not able to help unless we know, there's a problem or someone needs help. It always breaks my heart when clubs come to me at the end of the year being like, we didn't really do much, so we didn't really know what to do. Oh, well, we were here to help, so please just message us. We're here to support you. Something I also recommend is to log important event dates early and in your calendar. You folks will probably start hearing from me beginning of August, just saying, hey, sign up for community fair, or hey, submit this form to open up or renew your Scotiabank account. And then come fall president's meeting, I give you all the important dates to remember and all the deadlines to hit. Again, obviously we understand you folks are students. School comes first. Obviously people have a lot going on in your personal life. If you happen to miss a deadline, that's fine. Please just email me. We will work it out. It's no big deal. We're all human. Yeah. So that's it for the PowerPoint. Jamie and Serena have just gone to get the subs. So if everyone could just kind of sit tight for a few minutes. Like I said, we're gonna eat for about half an hour, and then we're gonna do some round tables. Some Brock full-time staff, like I said, are coming in. We'll turn the lights back on because I'm not sure why they turned off. And then after the round tables, then we'll do the quiz, and then you folks are out of here. If anyone has any specific questions, not that I see, or if you're simply just not comfortable asking it in front of a crowd, you're welcome to come speak to me or Jamie when he gets back, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thanks, everybody.